Today, we're going to be writing the Hello World program in C. Hello World is considered your introduction to the world of programming, or at least to what the particular language you're learning, which in this case I shall assume is C, because that's what I'll be using. Now, one thing I want to mention, just a little caveat, is that with any language, like spoken language, it's very difficult to talk about just a word. You can do it, but notice whenever you are told what a word means, you're told in reference to your language. So if you're learning your first programming language, keep in mind there's going to be a lot of terms that you're going like, well, what does that mean and what does that mean? And so as I write this, I'll do my best to mention what the different parts of the code are doing, but really there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve with seeing all kinds of programs and seeing the syntax before you can start to sort of get a grasp on all that's going on in detail. So think of it like that. It's like a language, and so we're going to be learning our first few sentences and ways to say things. So, with that said, one thing I need to do before I even write, because I'm going to be writing a Hello World program, which is going to print something out to the screen, I need to be able to print stuff to the screen. And so, there is a whole host of what are called header files in C, which is code that's already been written for you. And so if I do #include, then what I do is inside angle brackets, I'm going to put what header file I want to include. And now that header file, in this case, is going to be stdio.h. The std stands for standard, the io is for input-output, and the h is for header file. So this is going to include the standard input and output header file. Now, I'm going to save my file right quick. I'm using Sublime, a text editor, and the command line to do this. Sublime is going to color code while I type once I save it, and it knows if I'm writing in C or Java or some other language. So let me just save this right quick. And I'm just going to save this as hello.c. Okay, there we go. And now I'll carry on, and see it's starting to color code for me. Now, every function you write in C, and they're called functions, you need a function which is main. So I should say every program you write in C needs what is called a main function. So I'm just going to go ahead and write this. Int main, empty parentheses, brackets. Well, this is a function. It's called main. And this right here is an integer type. The integer type is exactly what it sounds like, whole numbers. And I have this here because when I'm done running the code in main, I need to return an integer. So I'll go ahead and hit enter to move this down and put this here now. And I'm going to return 0. You can return anything, like I could return -9,127 if I wanted, but I'm returning 0 because that is just the standard. It's usually used to mean this executed and there were no problems. Okay. So there's all the fluff, there's all the stuff you have to do before you can even start writing, with the one caveat that this is only here because I know what I'm about to do, and that is print to the screen. So how do I print? Well, it's called printf. Printf. The F stands for formatting, so there's going to be more stuff you'll learn with the printf where you can format your text in different ways. We won't be doing much formatting here, we'll just be printing. And then I need to close the parentheses here, and all statements end with a semicolon. You may have noticed here when I did return, I did that, is I put a semicolon here. This tells the computer, stop right here. This is one line of code, this is one line of code, and if I did other things down here, semicolon, that's one line of code. Okay, so printf is actually another function, and I'm calling that, and so I need to give it what I want to print out. So whenever you print out what's called a string, you enclose those in double quotes. Now I hit it once on the keyboard, and my text editor automatically filled in another one for me. If you use something like Eclipse or NetBeans, what are called IDEs, they might even do more stuff for you. I'm just using the text editor because I'm a minimalist, if you like. Okay, so now I'm going to put in hello world. So let me save this. And let's go ahead and compile this. So I'm going to switch over to the terminal. Okay, so I'm here in the terminal. Now I am using a Mac, which is a Linux-based system. If you are using Windows, this will look a little bit different. It'll be called the command line. But for here on Mac, I'm going to do ls, that lists the systems, everything that I'm in. Now I've already navigated to the desktop here. If I wasn't in the desktop, what I would do is cd for change directory, and then type in desktop. Cool, so you can see all my files here. I'm going to go ahead and compile hello.c. So to do that, I'm going to use gcc-o hello.c. And let me explain what's going on here a bit. GCC is the compiler, and I'm calling that. I am going to be outputting a compiled file, and I'm calling it hello. I actually could call this anything. I could call it, chop suey if I wanted, but it makes sense to call it hello since my file is hello.c, but that is arbitrary. So once I've done that, there's a file here called hello, and so this has been compiled. It's ready to be run, and so again, on a Linux-based system, I just do / and the name of my file, hello. And you'll see it did print out hello world, but you'll notice it's kind of scooched over, like immediately starts the next line of my my laptop here, like where I am. I'm in, it's my MacBook Air, desktop, and so it doesn't look too good. It'd be nice if we could format this a little bit. So let's do one bit of formatting. Let me switch back to Sublime. Okay, so I'm back over here. And what happened is I don't want it to just go hello world and then immediately after here have more stuff. So one solution is I could, put a space there, but then that still is not going to look very good because I'll compile it. I may have a space, but I'm still starting a whole separate thing that's not related to my code after here. So what you can do is you can put in what's called a new line, and that's going to be a /n. Now the thing here is that this is read as a character, just like D is the letter D or L is the letter L. /n is read as its own thing. It is the letter new line. And so there's a lot of these actually. There's also the carriage return and the tab. And the computer is going to read these as individual characters. Okay, let me save this. Let's go back over the terminal. Now, since I changed something, I do have to recompile the code. So you can type it all out. I'm just going to use the up arrow. Lets me go grab that. So again, I just have to run this line again. So that's recompiled and it's replaced my old file. And now I run the new one. Boom! And see, we say hello world and then a new line. So we have the rest of this stuff separated out. So there we go.